Hello. Joyce.
Yes.
Uh, so we are live.
Okay.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. With great pleasure, I welcome all of you to the second ForeignGrad webinar by my distinguished fellow Chevener, Miss Joyce Abutsa, on the topic of understanding the Chevening Scholarship and University College London applications. I am Dhananjay Kumar, and I am currently pursuing Masters in Public Policy from King's College London as a Chevening Scholar. Today's webinar is a part of new initiative, a scholar series launched by our exceptional team at ForeignGrad. For this series, we will be inviting scholars from around the world to create awareness about various scholarships, about university applications, opportunities for young people, and most importantly, prospective applicants, with a focus on first generation learners and students that belong to socially and economically disadvantaged section of the society. Once again, I'm repeating, this is an initiative to reach to the first generation learners and students that belong to socially and disadvantaged section of the society, because they cannot afford to go for higher education in the best university across the world. So this is just an initiative to reach to the first generation learners and those who cannot afford. With this, I invite Ms. Rejoice Abusta, who is currently pursuing a degree in creative and collaborative enterprise from University College London as a Chevening Scholar. I will now welcome Rejoice.
Hello, Dhananjay. Thank you for having me today.
I must say thank you for coming, for taking out your time and sharing your experience of being tuning scholar and then educating people, educating students about this scholarship. Because
Yeah.
most of the students in different part of the world who are first generation learners or who are socially and economically disadvantaged, they cannot afford to go to the best universities, even if they have talent. So what we are going to do, we are going to educate these people, calling scholars, expert like you, so that you can explain various scholarships, the university application process, so that people will learn and will apply. So
Yeah.
I will. So let's start. I will say first, let me introduce you.
I'm so sorry about that.
Is there any problem?
Yeah, I had like a little issue behind, but it's sorted.
Mhm.
Sorry about that.
No issue. So let me introduce Rejoice. Rejoice Abusta is a tuning scholar, a writer, a brand and communication manager, and more importantly, a very interesting information, she is a film producer also.
Yes.
Actually, we have when we met, we discussed a lot about films in the London. So she is a film producer also. She started her career as a TV presenter in Jos, Nigeria, where she discussed issue affecting families as well as women in the girl child on the nighttime television. In
Mm.
2016, she wrote and produced a short film which were based on rape and gender-based victimization. So Rejoice has always focused on societal problems, and she always made short films on the societal problem.
Yeah.
After this, she went on to start a job at media startup, where she handled the development and deployment of one of the biggest job seeking platforms in Nigeria called auditions.ng. In this role, she connected creative job seekers with working professionals and bridged the gap of finding entertainment jobs. And this is, I will say, in this crisis, this job platform will be very useful in connecting the people from the various enterprise. Alongside these roles, she has worked as a head of content for an animation studio. She has also led a lot of successful media campaign as a brand and a communication manager. Most recently and most interesting one, she debuted her short animated film called Captive Dream, a tribute to the Chibok girls kidnapped in 2014 in
Yeah.
Nigeria by
Yeah.
Boko Haram. So she made this movie, and very interesting thing, when we were in London, we discussed how to shoot this film, how we are going to do this. And when I after this 3 months, I saw she completed that movie even in this Corona crisis. She
Yeah.
completed. I will share the link of the movie on this YouTube channel on her description. You can click on that link and you can see how meticulously she made this movie, how sensitively she made this movie, and you will enjoy, you will educate about the problem faced by a girl child in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much, Vijay, for coming. And I just want to ask one question, that you
Yeah.
recently made a short film on this abduction of Nigerian girls. Can you share the region and experience of making this short movie?
Yes. So I'll start from my inspiration for making this film, because I grew up in northern Nigeria. And if you pay attention to news coming from Nigeria, especially as regards terrorist attacks in Nigeria, it is mostly from northern Nigeria, where there is always a fight between Christian versus Muslim, or terrorist groups just attacking families, attacking farms, attacking local people. So I grew up experiencing a lot of these attacks, and my family and I, we had to move from one place to another. We had to run a lot of times to just, like, save ourselves from everything that was going on. It was in 2014. I was in the university. I was studying theater and film arts when I heard about the Chibok girls kidnap. And what the news did to me was that it reminded me when I was also in an all-girls boarding house and would hear the gunshots behind our hostel. Things were happening around us. The terrorist attacks were everywhere. And the school would usually be conflicted. Should we send these girls back home? Should we leave them here? Is it up to us to protect these girls? And those were the conversations that we had at the time I was in this all-girls boarding house. And so the Chibok girls kidnap was, I was very, very worried by it. I was worried that the Nigerian government wasn't acting as quickly as we'd expect them to act. And earlier in the year, this year in particular, 2020, I my mind, everything, every time I sat down, I was just thinking a lot about these girls. It's been 6 years, they've not been found. And it seems that every time I went online, the conversation about them seemed to be drowning. We're not talking about them as much as we should be talking about them. And these girls have not been found. Some of them have been found, but there are over 100 girls still missing. More girls were kidnapped recently, and they've been converted. Some of them have been converted, others have been forced to be slaves. And you don't know the level of abuse that these girls are going through. It was important for me, as the girl from northern Nigeria who has had access to, professional growth, educational growth, to put myself in that position to use my skills and my creativity to create a film that would not only remind people that these girls are still missing, but a film that would also put it out there that these are the things that we've lost. We've not just lost these girls. Education in Chibok, Nigeria has been drawn 1,000 years backwards, because parents cannot allow their daughters or even their male children to go to school anymore, because schools are being destroyed. Lives are being destroyed by the day. So when we look at it beyond young girls being kidnapped, when we look at it as what does education do to a society? Education moves us much faster, especially in developing countries like Nigeria or like, for example, India. We know that we need this education. We need people to think outside the conventional strategies or the conventional box they were born into. It is very important for us to advocate for education. But then when schools are being shut down, when girls are being kidnapped for wanting education, it rolls us back. We're not moving as forward as we should. And so that was why it was very important for me to make this film, especially getting the opportunity to pursue my master's and knowing that some girls were trying to move beyond what their mothers, the opportunities their mothers did not have. They were sitting in class, reading for their exams, and then terrorist groups come into school, pick them out, and 6 years after, they've not been found. So it was important with all the opportunities I've had more recently to put myself to be the voice for those young girls.
I'm sure you are a role model, Rejoice, for thousands of girls, not only in Nigeria, but in India and different parts of the world, who,
Thank
who,
you.
who believe that education is the only way to come out of the poverty,
Yeah.
to learn, to move, and to make this world a better place to live. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your story, sharing the conditions in Nigeria. And I'm sure, like you said, that education is not being given to the girl child. Definitely seeing you in this role, uh, definitely it will motivate many girls to take up the education. It will motivate many parents to take up education, to help their child to get education. And we are there to help these people who don't know about various scholarship, who cannot afford, to help them, motivate them, mentor them,
Yeah.
so that they can avail these scholarships and they can pursue their higher education. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you will agree to me that Chevening Scholarship is one of them. This is one of the
Yeah.
prestigious scholarship. And you know what is the most important thing about Chevening Scholarship? That they promote first generation learners. They promote families, they promote children, they promote students from who are coming from socially and economically disadvantaged section of the society,
Yeah.
who is working for social change. So this led me to ask the second question, that becoming a Chevening Scholar and pursuing master degree from University College London, one of the
Yeah.
top most universities in the world, is a dream for many. Would
Yes.
you like to share about your Chevening application process? Like, would you like to share about Chevening application process and how one should approach this application process?
I think the way I'll approach this question is that the first thing I'll tell everybody watching is that you have to be prepared. And
Yes.
being prepared is a lot of things, you know. And the first time I thought of applying for the Chevening Scholarship, I think it was in 2016, 2017. I just graduated from the university, and there's this thing we call NYSC in Nigeria, National
Mhm.
Youth Service Corps, where you're sent to a state and you're there for 1 year to serve Nigeria. And like, you know, you just work in a totally different environment, understand the culture there, explore as much as you could, and then you go back to wherever you came from or a new place afterwards. And that was around the time when I was doing my NYSC that I saw the Chevening Scholarship, and I was really, really, really interested in applying. But you know, I had also applied for my master's degree in other universities around Nigeria. And I knew that I wanted a master's, but I was not sure if it was that was the right time to do it. And I realized that so much. I'm very specific about the things that I want, and all the courses I'd applied through to the Nigerian universities, I realized like, oh, I wasn't so excited about them. But then once I looked at the Chevening Scholarship and the universities here in the UK, I saw that many of them offered things that were close to the things that I wanted to do with my master's degree. And but then I knew I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready because I had not worked in the creative field as much as I would have loved to. I was a TV presenter before I went for my NYSC, but I felt like the experience was not sufficient enough. And by the time I was thinking in my mind, should I apply for Chevening or not, I was also working with the creative startup where we're growing this technology, this tech, the app where creatives could actually sign up for jobs. And so like I was involving myself in a lot of things, and I really needed to be sure. Are you going to, I graduated with a degree, an undergraduate degree in theater and film arts. And I had to sit down and ask myself, are you going to go for your master's and in film, or are you going to go for your master's in theater? Where do you want to improve your skills? And many of the master's degrees I applied for in Nigeria were in the theater field. And theater is not such a viable field in Nigeria in terms of it's a seasonal thing. It's either a December or an Easter kind of thing. And I wasn't just such a theater person during my undergraduate. I knew it was going to be film, but I wasn't just sure what aspect of film I wanted to develop my skills in. But the more I worked in the creative industries, the more I explored my skills, I realized that, I want to learn about the creative industry in general, but not just the creative industry as in you have this talent so you can do this, or you're creative so you can do this. I wanted to learn about the creative industry from an entrepreneurial point of view. Because during my undergraduate, our lecturers will always tell us your talent, your creativity and discipline will take you places. But working in the industry, I would observe that, your talent, your creativity and discipline, they're just one side of the game. You need to know how to negotiate. You need to know how to have those business skills. They are very, very, very important to your success. And I realized that I would struggle. I would get a job by my side, maybe script writing or something that I had to do. I had to consult for a project. I would struggle with negotiating. I couldn't call a price because I felt that my skills, my creative skills were the most important things. And those were the things that I needed to learn to be certain that I wanted to go for a master's. So I gave it 2 more years from 2016 till 2018 when I had worked in the industry. And I was certain that, you work in the creative industry, you're never going to want to be a banker. You're never going to want to be a doctor. This is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And at that point, I was certain that it was the creative industries. That's why I mentioned, you have to be certain of what you want because it's such a big opportunity. You don't want to come into it and be like, oh, this is not what I wanted to do. You don't want to come in to study something that you didn't want at all. So first of all, I would say certainty. You have to approach it with certainty. Are you ready? Are you sure that this is the field that you want to advance your career in? Because masters comes with a lot of certainty, and if you're not sure, I'd rather you just wait it out. And those were the things that guided me. Once I knew I was certain, it also fueled my ambition in terms of I wasn't going to sit it out. I wasn't going to. It was not I either get it or not. It was I was going to get it. And that's what being certain does to you, because once you know that this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, you're more ambitious when you're going towards it. You're more deliberate about it. So I had to be certain. So for everyone that wants to apply, above everything, be certain. Make sure that you have the work experience. That's why Chevening emphasizes 2 years of work experience, because they believe it's enough to help you get that certainty of if you should apply or not. So certainty is very, very, very paramount.
Very true with Joyce. I will say
Yeah.
the crux, you said that one should be passionate, one should know exactly that why he or she wants to go for master degree, in which course. So there must be a clarity, there must be a 2 years of work experience,
Yeah.
and this will help in getting into university and scholarship. If you want to know more about Chevening Scholarship and you want the facts about or the basic information about Chevening Scholarship, I have written an article and it is posted on my website. You can go and you will get all the informations there. I will discuss the important questions with Joyce to have her perspective on how to write different Chevening scholarship essays. So
Yeah.
we all know that there are four essays in Chevening scholarship applications. One
Mm-hmm.
is on leadership. A second is on networking. Third is why we want to study in UK, and fourth is about career growth. So
Mm-hmm.
in detail, which Joyce is going to going to tell us that how one should approach each questions. So this lead to the next question to Rejoice, that Rejoice, can you give an idea how an aspirants approach leadership questions in Chevening essay, particularly about leadership questions?
I think that the leadership essay was one of the most interesting ones I had to get out of the way. It was the first essay I wrote, and I wrote 3 drafts of the leadership essay because what is leadership? That's the first thing you have to think about. What is leadership? And I think that people often think that leadership is wearing a crown, sitting on a throne, and leading a whole clan of people. But I think that leadership is a more simpler, would I call it framework, or is a more simpler term than we make it out to be. And that was what helped me to write a better leadership essay. So first of all, I made my leadership essay very personal. I wrote about being the firstborn, and I wrote about the experiences I had in my professional career. But I realized that that didn't quite capture how I felt as a leader. I wanted to write about a project that I owned, a project that allowed me to collaboratively work with others, to see, to weigh my temperament in that project. How did I come across the project? How did I manage working with other people? What effects or what results did I have from that project? And that was how I ended up writing my leadership essay. So when I tell most people this, they find it quite shocking. But my leadership essay was actually about my undergraduate thesis. During my undergraduate piece, when I was writing my undergraduate project, I wrote about film piracy. Film piracy at that time was taking over the Nigerian film industry. You go to the market and you see films being sold when you know that the filmmakers had not released these films by DVD. They were still showing at the cinemas, but then they were being pirated. I saw filmmakers, they were holding protests all across saying that stop pirating our films. As someone that wanted to work in the film industry, I thought that it was really, really important to address this from the community I was studying in. And the problem with the community where I was that we had no film cinemas. That piracy was on an increase because of the lack of cinemas. We're film students. When we're given an assignment to do and the film was not out, you go to the market and you speak to these people and they're just like, we're going to bring the film for you. You have to pay this rate. And they go and they bring you bootleg copies and you have to watch it to do your assignments. And for me, I had to address that because I was paying a lot of attention to the industry I wanted to work in. And I saw the challenges that these filmmakers were facing. And I thought of it, okay, I've not graduated, I don't have a job, but what changes can I make from the point of view of a student who was going to go out into the field? So what I did was that I came up with the proposal and I said I was going to write about film piracy. I remember at the time, I'd go all across my class and tell my classmates that I'm going to leave Jos and I'm going to travel to Lagos. I'll go interview film pirates to understand the psychology behind the film piracy. I know that they want to make money, but I think that there is more to this the situation of film piracy. And they'll be like, oh, if you leave Jos and you go there, they are actually going to beat you or something because you can't go there to try and infiltrate their cabal or whatever they were running and think that you would get away with it. But I was insistent. I really wanted to write about film piracy. So when it came to my Chevening leadership essay, I just sat down and I wrote everything that felt like leadership to me. I wrote about my undergraduate thesis. I wrote about the opposition I received while trying to write about film piracy. I wrote about my professional career. I wrote about my NYSC. I wrote all of those things in a straight list. And I wrote 3 essays for my leadership essay question. And first of all, I wrote the professional one. I wrote the volunteering one. And then I wrote about my undergraduate thesis, which felt like the biggest challenge that I had to overcome. Writing about a topic that was fiercely opposed by people in the field that were bootlegging these films, and then also seeing how it just affected filmmakers. And so I approached it by just weighing which one was the most challenging. Did you overcome it? Did you make any changes while doing that? And I realized that my undergraduate thesis I saw changes. I worked collaboratively with others. The people I interviewed, the solutions I brought to film piracy on campus, the even afterwards, I the results that it brought in terms of my discussion with lecturers in my department. There were just a lot of things that I felt like, I owned the project. I collaboratively worked with others, and so there were a lot of results to write about. And so once I decided I was going to write about my undergraduate thesis, it became easier, and that was what I used as my leadership essay. And as easy as it looked, and as convenient as it looks, it got me. Probably it was what ticked off the box when Chevening was looking at my essay, because, like, at that young age, if you're able to bring along those changes, then it's important. And so for every applicant out there, I think that you need to just like write down every single time that you felt like a leader, every single time that you felt like you put yourself in a position to help the next person to make something better. You don't have to be a leader in terms of you're sitting on a throne and you're ruling a whole country, or you're the president of this or that or anything. There are small projects that you've handled. You've worked with probably 2 or 3 people, and that's enough. You don't have to work with 1,000 people to be a leader. You just write it down. Which came with the greatest challenge? Which one came with the most opposition? Which the opposition part is not really necessary, but just look at it, write it down. Every single time it might be that you were a doorman at an office and you open the door for somebody every morning, and the way that you open the door for an applicant coming in for an interview made them have a better interview. That is leadership. It is as simple as that. So you just write it down. Write every single time that you felt like a leader, and just approach it from that point of view. And I think that solves your problem in a lot of ways.
So just to conclude Vijay's point,
Yeah.
one should focus on your background, from where you are coming.
Mm-hmm.
You should always mention from where you are coming.
Yeah.
And then you write all, like Vijay said, you need to write all events where you have acted as a leader, where you have brought something change even in one individual or in a society. And
Yeah.
then out of that, take 2-3 examples and explain in a very logical and organized manner. This is the
Mm-hmm.
crux of Vijay's perspective and Vijay's point. So this leads
Yeah.
to the next question. Next question is about networking. So
Yes.
Vijay, can you similarly, can you give brief about how you approach the networking question?
Yeah. Networking question also came from the leadership one. And that's
Mhm.
why I emphasize so much on, like, writing. I love writing a lot. And I think it makes my life just so much easier. Once I wrote about my leadership, uh, all the positions or everything that I'd done that felt like, that made me feel like a leader. In that list, I also had opportunities that led to some form of networking. And in my leadership essay, the second essay I'd written was about, how I volunteered at a place, and, like, there were leadership skills in there, but more so, it was about networking. When I looked at the essay in retrospect, I looked at it and I felt like, okay, you moved from your original place of birth to a new environment, and you were volunteering, you met a lot of people, you had certain skills that you were able to project onto these people. And that was how I approached my networking. When I had to write my networking experience, I just wrote about, like, moving from Jos to Alaba, which is another part of Nigeria,
Mhm.
finding that I had where I was posted, there was nothing for me to be doing. And so I decided to volunteer. I met a lot of people. And while meeting those people, I would realize that there were a lot of street children moving around without, they didn't know where food would come from for them. And I wasn't earning enough to just feed them every day. But I had skills that I could pass on to them. And some of those skills were that I knew how to speak the English language. Some of them didn't know how to do that. I knew how to write. Some of them didn't know how to write. And what we'll do is that I had a friend who was leading the whole movement to support these children. And she asked, would you like to come and contribute your skills by just helping these children to speak better or to write better? And that was the way I contributed my skills to that environment. And that for me is networking. That is putting yourself in a position to help people so that you guys are on the same playing field. By giving your skills out there, you're networking in one way or the other. I didn't use going for events or meeting somebody in my field or something like that. I just used this volunteering experience that I had to write about my networking essay. So I say like, once you write your leadership experience, also look within all those experiences you've written. Is there anything that feels like networking where your skills were improved, or your sense of empathy was improved, or your sense of worth was improved by something that you did at a particular position? Or it could be that, could you have met somebody in your field that impacted your life in a way that you give back that whatever they did for you to another person? And I think that that's networking. Networking is a web. It's connection. If I take something from somebody, if you help me in one way, I'm going to help the next person in another way, because I want everybody to be able to access the same sort of opportunities that I have. And so like you have to approach it in terms of like the impact you're making through the connections that you make. And that is networking. That's how you just need to approach it.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
just as Atsi rightly pointed out, that you need to connect your leadership examples with networking examples.
Yes.
I think in networking, in leadership example, our focus was on showing the impact, how you
Mm-hmm.
did it.
Mm-hmm.
Networking, you need to show how you achieved that impact, how you
Yeah.
networked with individual, how you network with volunteers, how you network with NGOs, government, institutions. This year I mentored around 52 students from 15 different countries,
Yeah.
and many people ask me this question, that can I show my personal connection with a very renowned person? So my suggestion to these people are that please, you don't have to show your personal connection, but you have to show your
Mm-hmm.
connection to the institutions. You need to show your connections to various institutions in your country, and how you achieved that impact or achieved that goal, rather than
Yeah.
focusing on your individual personal connection with someone.
Yes.
So
And
like,
to add on that, I'd like to say, like, it's not about, like you said, it's not about I'm related to the president, or I know the
exactly.
senator. Because if you know these people, what have you done with your relationship with them? For example, in Nigeria at the moment, we're having a lot of cases, of a lot of rape cases online. And I say, if you were in such a position and you know the senator, it's
Mhm.
not enough to write that you know the senator. How are you using that influence or your connection to ensure that
Mhm.
they enforce laws that put rapists or people that commit such heinous crimes to jail? That's networking. That's using your connection for impact in the society. And that's what matters. You could be related to the president, and it doesn't matter to Chevening whether you're the president's child, or you're you know the senator, or you know this. It's just about how you use those connections for impact. And I think that that's very important for applicants to know.
Okay. So we had a very good discussion on how to approach the networking essay. Now
Yeah.
let's move to the next question, and Joyce will give her perspective about how to approach the question number third in tuning essay. That is, why you want to study in UK. So this is the
Yeah.
third question, and so Rejoice, can you give your perspective how an aspirant should approach this question?
Mm-hmm. I'd say like just pour your
Mhm.
passion into the 500 words that you have to write. And in terms of passion, it's not about The school looks great. The school is number one. And so I want to go there and learn. I think that you have to do your research. If you want to
Exactly.
study something like economics at University College London, why do you want to study it at the College London when 182 other schools in the UK offer the same course? It could be that the facilities that are accessible to you at the University College London would enable that you learn better about economics than if you go elsewhere. Or it could be that the environment or some of the alumni that have left the university are doing so great, and you think that there's just some magic that happens in that department, and you want to be a part of it. So when it comes to writing about, why study in the UK, I think that a lot of people tend to be misguided in terms of, the UK, I want to study in the UK because it has the best environment, it has the best this, it has the best that. I think you need to focus it on the course you're going to study. You need to focus on why it gives you access to certain things that studying at another university will not give you access to. You need to focus on you have to do your research in terms of who are the people lecturing in the department, who are the people lecturing some of the modules that you're going to be taking. Have they written books? Have you read the books? Have you come across certain works that they've done that inspires you so much that you want to be sitting in a class where they are lecturing? It boils down to issues such as that. So when it comes to writing about your why you want to study in the UK, you have to look at those things. And also some environments might offer you more opportunities than others. So for example, if all your three choices, for example, somebody like me, all my first, second, third choice were all in London because I'm
Mhm.
coming to study a creative course. And London is known as a creative city. It's either London or where do I go? I don't want to be in a small town where I wouldn't have the access to explore the things that have been taught in class. And so like those are the things, like if you're studying something like media and communications, where is the BBC located? Do you think that maybe studying in the place where the BBC is located will give you better access to maybe an internship? Probably it will give you better access to just like looking for information or training somebody's work much easier. So this is how you should approach your three why I want to study here. Do not be carried away by I want to study in the UK because it has the best environment. Be carried away by I want to study at UCL or King's College or LSE because it has the best facility for my course. It has the best lecturers for my course. It has the best opportunities for the things that I want to study. And that's just how you need to approach the three reasons why I want to study at wherever. Yeah.
Exactly. Just to
Yeah.
add Vijay's point, like you need to convince the uh, tuning committee or the university application committee that you are passionate about that particular university, you are passionate
Absolutely.
about that particular course, and that only can be seen through your research, that
Mm-hmm.
particular course, that particular module in that particular course, how you are so much influenced with that particular professor teaching that particular module. So when
Mm-hmm.
you do your research, uh, uh, this will show your dedication towards course and that particular university.
Yeah.
Lastly, I just want to add that here also you need to add that how tuning is going to help in studying in UK. So lastly, you need to mention that how tuning will be an instrument to get this dream of studying in UK. And
Mm.
just after understanding this question, now let's move to the most important question. And
Yeah.
this question is make or break of this whole application process, even in the interview. And
Yeah.
the last question is your career goal. This question is the most important question because tuning is investing so much, and so you need to give them a glimpse of what you are going to do after completing your degree. So I
Absolutely.
will request Joyce to please share that how one should approach this particular and most important question.
So the career plans essay is very interesting because, you know, we all have goals, we all have dreams in our heads, and sometimes our dreams might seem so dreamy and so big to achieve and all of those things. And I think that the career essay is where you need to humble it. You need to humble it. Like, you might want to be a president of a country. And because I read a lot of essays last year to help some applicants while they were writing about, you know, what they wanted to do. And, you know, and the thing I would observe with a lot of these essays were people saying that I want to finish my education and come back and I'm going to be the president of this organization, or I'm going to be the president of that organization. And the interesting thing is that it's not organizations that they founded, it's organizations that they want to be a part of. And I understand those ambitions are very valid, you know, those dreams are very valid. But also you need to tell Chevening your plans for getting there. I remember during my interview, something that took me off the ground was my interviewer said, tell us your career plans in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, and year 7. And I began to stammer because I knew my short-term goals and my long-term goals, but breaking it into year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 just seemed a lot. It's so confusing to me. And I started to stammer because I wasn't so sure of what to say or what not to say. But at the end of the day, I just told her, like, for me, the big dream, the big dream. So, for example, if you want to be a president of the country, of your country, you want to come study and you aspire to run for the presidential campaign and just become the president of your country, there are ways to get in there. There are ways that you could break it down, your short-term goals. There are ways that you could create impact in the short term that leads to your long-term goal. And I think that what is most important is that you should break your goals into what is achievable. How is it achievable to? Or would I say the SMART plans? I didn't do the SMART plans while writing my essay, but I think that a lot of people that won the scholarships usually say to me that they did that. But when you're be specific, if you want to own an NGO or if you want to start a creative company that supports other creatives, how do you want to get there? So for me, I told them in the short term, I intend to go back to my full-time job after finishing my education, because I see that it gives me the opportunities to impact or create changes in the way that I want to create before I actually set up my own stuff. So you have to be realistic in terms of finishing a Chevening scholarship does not make you an automatic billionaire. So if you didn't set up your company before starting, what makes you think that as soon as you're done, you would automatically set up the company? You need to take small steps. So break it down into those achievable goals. In 2 years' time, after my education, this is what I want to do. Is either you want to go back to your job, or you want to set up your company. If you want to set up your company, how do you intend to do that? What are the resources that are available for you to do that? In the long term, after setting up the company, what do you intend to do? And don't forget, you have to connect it with what Chevening is doing in your country, because that is a very, 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 very valuable thing to do. Luckily for me, I'd been involved in 1 or 2 events by the British Council, and I knew, you know, the events they were having in terms of, you know, the Creative Hustle program. And I saw that after my education, I can actually be one of the facilitators for the British Council's Creative Hustle. And since the British Council was so innovative that it was taking this event, it was not just holding this event in Lagos, it was taking it to other parts of Nigeria. And I realized that with my new skills, I could actually volunteer with the British Council while also doing my full-time job, while also contributing in other areas. And I see that the British government in general has a lot of interest in the Nigerian creative industry. And so I connected it, because coming to study a course like Creative and Collaborative Enterprise would mean that I would strengthen my skills in the creative industry and go back to work in the creative industry. And I'm so passionate about connecting British and Nigerian film in terms of new audience spaces for Nigerian films. And without coming to the UK, if I don't understand how films are taken to the cinema in the UK, I wouldn't be able to do that. I would only have the Nigerian knowledge of doing things. So you have to connect that. And I think that You have to connect that. You have to look at the bigger picture. And looking at the bigger picture does not mean that you have to put dreams there that are unattainable. You have to be conscious of the fact that there are some things that will take a longer frame to achieve. So you want to look at it in terms of, okay, after my education, what do I want to do? And I think that answers the question in a lot of ways. Just your achievable plans, write them down, and just be realistic with them. Show Chevening while writing, this is the way that I intend to get there. I intend to get there either by collaborating with the British Council, the British Embassy in my country. This is what I want to do. And just make sure that your plans are achievable and you write them in clear terms that are understandable to anyone that comes across them.
Okay, perfect. So just like she has given a very elucidative way of how to write this particular essay, and rightly Joyce pointed out that you need to connect. You don't have to write everything in isolated way. I will say you need to connect all your 4 essay in a very progressive manner and in a logical manner. One should, you need to connect your leadership essay with networking with the study, and study with your career goals, that how your past work will determine your future work. This need a connection. And even among you are choosing your short-term, long-term, say medium-term or long-term career goals, you need to connect this also. So you need a connection on 2 levels. First, connection with the rest of the essay, and third, you need to connect your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals in a very progressive manner.
Yeah.
So Rejoice gave a very good perspective on writing this particular essay. After understanding Chevening applications essay, now let's move to understand University College London application process. So, Rejoice, can you share your views and your strategy to apply in University College London, because this is one of the most prestigious university in the world, very competitive, and people want to know that how one should approach University College London applications. Please, Rejoice.
It's very interesting because I knew how competitive University College London is, and I had to wait to finish my Chevening application before I moved on to the University College of London. It was important because Chevening is one of the hardest applications you could sit to just put through. And so once I finished writing my essays, my leadership, my networking, my post-study plan, and all of those things, it was time to apply to the University College London. So I did my research. And when I went online to search, like, how many people have gotten into University College London, I read about its reputation and all of that. And I saw people that were really sad about like being rejected, about trying to get into the University College London. But the thing that these universities in the UK do, right, is that they are very detailed in the way that they try to help each applicant. So you go to the website and they will break it down to you, all the things that they require for an applicant to have, so that you're not even wasting your time at all. If you don't fit the bill, you can't apply. So for example, the entrepreneurship course at UCL, you cannot apply without, some sort of substantial experience in the field. So, some people just finish school and they just go right into their master's, but you cannot apply for such a program without having work experience. So you have to go into the details. You have to go to the website, read every single detail that they put out there for you. Go to the broader, because each department has its website. Then you can also go to the general UCL website and check what resources do they have for you there. Some universities even go as far as like putting out examples of statements of purpose that attracted them to a particular student or led them to giving a particular student admission, the admission. But for me, UCL said it wanted just 2 pages of a statement of purpose. And I'd gone from, should I reflect my leadership skills or my networking skills or in my post-study plan, what should I reflect in my statement of purpose? But once I went to the website and I realized that it was so detailed, what they wanted to see in my statement of purpose, it became easy. I wanted to start with, I already have work experience. I've already done this in my field. This is what I aim to get from the course. Research the modules. What are the modules that are being offered in the course? You don't want to write a statement of purpose to UCL without writing about the modules. So for example, in my course, we have marketing courses. What can marketing do to you? What can a marketing skill or knowledge of marketing do to you when you graduate from UCL? You want to highlight that. You want to highlight that you've done substantial research into the department. You know the people that are leading the course. You know what they've done, the work they've done in the field. You want to highlight maybe a few graduates from the department. For my department is fairly new, or my course is fairly new, and we don't have a lot of graduates that are well known in the field yet. But then you have the potential to see a lot of other departments where you could see that, oh, this person is a graduate of this department and this is what they're doing in the field right now. And, you know, like sometimes their success has nothing to do with the university, but at the same time, you see their success and you believe that, okay, maybe if I get into it, there's something that they might have gotten from being in this department that's helped them to become that person that they want to become. So you want to highlight your skills. You want to highlight your experiences. You want to highlight what the department is currently doing and why you want to be a part of that department. And most importantly, you want to highlight how being part of that department can help the department. Do not always talk about how being a student here will help me. Also think of it in terms of it's going to help. Also think of it in terms of it's going to help me. It's going to help the department if I become part of this department. For me, I wanted to host a lot of events to show the department about Nigerian film, or to teach the department about Nigerian films. And that was exactly what I wrote in my statement of purpose. So if you're coming to a department, what are you bringing to the table? Are you bringing experiences from India, or you're just coming to learn and go? You have to balance it. Very important to balance it. Yeah.
So, Rejoice rightly pointed out that UCL application is very competitive, and in any university application, you need to fill the application form. Then statement of purpose you need to write. You need to give even some course asked for CV, and then you need to give 2 or 3 leadership letter of recommendation, depending on the need of different universities or different departments. So,
Yeah.
and along with this, even in many departments of University College of London, they also ask for a, a writing sample. You know, like for LLM course, they ask for a writing sample. Or in some other course also, they may ask for a writing sample. So
Yeah.
just to in a crux, in any university application, they ask for a university application form. Then you need to a statement of purpose,
Mm-hmm.
CV, letter of recommendation, and in some courses they may also ask for a writing sample. So Rejoice
And
rightly,
also the IELTS exams,
yeah,
if you're
and
from.
English language test is a definite, in
Yeah.
almost all the universities across the
Yeah.
world. So this is the crux, and Rejoice rightly pointed out that you need to understand why you are applying to that particular course in that particular university,
Yeah.
what you are going to learn, and how you are going to contribute to develop that department. That's the most important thing. And today I am also getting educated from Rejoice when she shared that you need to write that how you are going to contribute in that particular department. If you will be
Yeah.
able to explain these points, definitely you will be a successful candidate in any university, and particularly in University College London.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have she gave a very great and good perspective about tuning different essays, then
Mm-hmm.
University College London applications. Now I have one more question
Okay.
that what are the some of the qualities that an admission or a scholarship committee look for in a prospective applicant? So can you give like with your experience that what kind of students or what kind of applicants they look?
I think that first of all, they are looking for students that can think on their own, think and work on their own. You must be able to make decisions for yourself. You must be able to get the work done for yourself, because you don't just want anybody that will come and sit, and because a lot of the UK system of teaching is bent on critical thinking. Can you come up with solutions for, if we show you this, we do not expect you to bring back what we've given to you. We expect you to go into the field, learn more about what you've been taught in class, and come back with a stronger sense of understanding of whatever has been taught in class or stuff like that. So I think that one of the most important attributes they look for are people with, let me use the word authenticity. You're authentic in the way that you think, in the way that you do your work. So for my course, for example, my course leader keeps saying, when I was going through statements of purpose, when I was going through applications, what I was looking for dynamic students that were able to come up with plans of what they wanted to do for themselves, and with a history of work that reflected that they knew themselves, or they were very confident in the work that they were doing and stuff like that. So you want to come into the picture, or you want to write your application knowing very well that you can think for yourself. You can, whatever impact you want to make in your field, you know the problems, you know the solutions that you have in your heart, or you know the things that drive you to go into that field, and you know how you want those skills that you already have to be improved. That's very important. You have to understand that, you know, there are a lot of statements of purposes, people put up their statement of purpose out there, and other people just go out to copy it. But you have to write it from a very authentic point of view. You have to be very, very, very aware of your industry, of the problems that are facing your industry, or like the solutions you hope to bring, the skills that you aim to learn from being part of that department. And another thing I would say is also, you want to write in clear and understandable grammar. You don't want to jumble words here and there. You don't want to put 1,000 plans of the things that you want to do. You want to break it down. 3 plans are enough. Probably they're even too much. But usually it should lead to your big goal. You want to be in this department because you aim to go there. And once they read that statement of purpose, once they read your application and they feel like you have a mind of your own, the history of your work shows that you've accomplished this, you've done that, which means you can carry research on your own without having to be spoon-fed. Those are some of the qualities that I think that interest them. You have to write your statement of purpose in the most articulate way that you can write it. And so so I would say authenticity and grammar. Those are the top 2 things that come to my mind, because I think that those are the things that actually helped me to get into UCL.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Joyce. So
Yes.
let's the last question. You have given a very great perspective, like what and committee will look into the student. So the last question is, what is your like any final thoughts that you would like to leave our viewers with, or any tips to the applicants for Chevening Scholarship, or those who want to apply to University College London?
Yeah, I think that the final thoughts I would like to leave everybody with is like, as much as you'd go online and read about things that you want to do, the courses you want to study, the universities you want to go to, speak to real people. It doesn't mean that the information online is not real, but if you want to study creative and collaborative enterprise or law, for example, who are the people that have gone to the university and studied the course and they've graduated from it? Can you schedule a call with them? Can you schedule like just an email exchange or something that would help you understand the course better, to understand the process better, to understand things that are happening within the course that might either help you, encourage you to apply, or make you make a different choice. And for me, it was really important because I observed that I would have made a lot of wrong choices if I didn't use this approach. You go to the internet and you find that there are such great reviews of the course, everything is just so perfect. And then you talk to a student that is within the department and they just have like, this is my experience. You talk to a second student within the department and they say, this is my experience. And it just contradicts what you have online. And so you want to be very, very deliberate. If you really, really want this, and it goes back to the first point I made within this webinar, I said, like, you want to be certain. If you're really certain that this is what you're going for, this is what you want to speak to real life people in the department, ask them about their experiences, ask them about, like, what they like, what they do not like about the course. And when they are authentic with you, you can then make that decision, regardless of what you find online, regardless of all the reviews you see online. You can make your decision. Speak to at least 2 people, speak to 3 people if you can, and you get a lot of sense of how the department works, how things are done in the department. And you also, especially if you're coming from another country, you want to look at how diverse it is, how comfortable the department is with your different sense of opinion, or like you're coming with a different worldview and you want to share those worldviews. Is the department accepting of those views? Are they going to try to stifle what you believe in? Are they going to try to stifle your opinion because they believe that, okay, you're coming from a developing nation, and so your choices of contribution are not sufficient enough? You want to ask all of those questions, put everything on the table, and ensure that you have every sense of what the university is like, what the course you're going to study is like. And I think that makes it easier for you to make choices about what course you want to go into and what university you want to go into.
You have put in a very right manner, that how one student approach achieving scholarship essay or university application process. So
Yeah.
you have discussed in a very detailed manner, and you yourself, the most important thing, you yourself have applied, you won the scholarship. Now you're presently studying in University College London. So
Yeah.
your perspective is important to the students, because uh, like you rightly pointed out, that when you go on the internet and when you met someone from that particular department, you may get the contradicting views. You
Yeah.
may not. So through internet, and there are a lot of informations on the internet, that in the end you are not able to make a decision that which information is right, which information is wrong.
True.
So you need to contact the real person studying in various universities, or those people who got the scholarship. And to
Yeah.
add this point, I just want to inform all the viewers that every year more than 1,500 scholarship is given to different people in the form of Chevening Scholarship, and there are so many scholarships. So whenever you approach any scholarship, I will suggest that make sure that you speak to 2 3 people, understand the process, understand the university, and then finally apply. I
Yeah.
will request that if anyone is not able to connect, or say anyone is not able to find someone with whom he or she wants to connect, then you can write to me. You can write
Yeah.
to the ForeignGrad. I'm going to connect you with someone who is studying that particular course in a particular university, or
Yeah.
anyone who got that particular scholarship. So
Yeah.
ForeignGrad is there to connect you with the right people and
Yeah.
help you to get the scholarship. Again, I am repeating, particularly to someone who is from first generation learner, someone who is socially, economically, like coming from socially and economically disadvantaged society, or someone who is working in rural areas, someone who has really brought change but could not afford to go for the higher education.
Yeah.
I rejoice, and the whole Chevening community, that is more than 50,000 scholars, and they are there for you to help you at every stage of the application process. And
Yeah.
I'm so proud of my fellow Cheveners rejoice that she achieved so much. She is still so humble, and she always do something which can bring change in the society. So,
Yeah.
and
True.
being a Chevening, being a part of Chevening, we both are so proud that we got lot of exposure in London. We got lot of exposure in UK,
Yeah.
and we were able to see different perspective. And now on my personal note, I will say that I have a different perspective of seeing the world. So
Yeah.
on this note, I will say that again, on 7th, we have invited one a very genius like Rejoice, a Commonwealth scholar. So our next webinar is on Commonwealth scholarship, because many people requested me to call someone from a Commonwealth scholarship, and I
Mm-hmm.
requested one of scholar, Mr. Isu Srivastav, and he is coming on 7th, same time, and he will give detailed information about Chevening, how one should approach the essay, how one should apply in a particular university. And also he is presently pursuing in Imperial College London, so he will also explain the application process in Imperial College London. So
Oh.
I will request you all to come join us and help yourself in writing your application for the university or the scholarship. So in the last, I will say thank you, Rejoice, for taking
Thank you.
out your precious time, coming on this platform, educating people about tuning scholarship, educating
Yeah.
people about how one should approach different essays, and do's and don'ts. And then you also explain how to approach University College London applications. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure that your perspective and your points has helped the student in a great manner. So thank you so much, Rejoice, for taking out
Thank
your
you.
time and effort.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rejoice. Thank you,
Thank you
viewers.
so much for
For
inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
viewers, for coming on this platform and viewing our show. And if you have any question, if you have any queries, you can write to me, or you can write to Rejoice. Definitely
Yeah.
I'm going to provide you the information. And you can also write your feedback on today's webinar. So with this, I will end this webinar. Thank you, Rejoice. Thank you, viewers.
Wait, can I take a picture of
Yeah,
us?
yes,
Sure.
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.